Are you a big breakfast guy?
I love breakfast. You?
Jeez, man. I wish I did. I love the idea of breakfast. I love the smell of breakfast. But ever since my teens, I rarely, like, I'll wake up once in the blue moon and it's like, pancakes. Then the rest of the year, it's like, no, coffee and, half a banana.
I invite you now. I ask you now to experience the experience of Ranney, a.k.a. Chocolate Gandalf.
Hi, Rainey.
Yo.
Chocolate Gandalf? Yes, that's what I said. Chocolate Gandalf.
What's
Good.
up?
How are you doing? Thanks for joining me. This is exciting for me. Why are you laughing?
I have a tendency to avoid podcasts.
They just keep talking. They don't stop talking. They never introduce the show. And I think that's how it ends too. Was this before or after your car got towed in Astoria from in front of a driveway that was like unmarked and you had no warning and you had to go like hunt it down, or you didn't even, you thought it was stolen? You reported
I thought it was stolen. I thought a tow truck stole it.
No, this is my buddy Jason Quinn. He's one of my best friends from college. We lived together in New York. He was like my introduction to New York. Take a class here. Do this, blah, blah, blah. He's been a constant inspiration to me. I'm going to go on and on, blah, blah, blah. But, here we are.
There were drag marks, and we reported it stolen. And I went to, and finally, like, they called me. They're like, are you going to come pick up your car? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you got a ticket and you were parked in front of this driveway and you got towed. And so I was like, oh, yeah. So I paid the money to get it out. Yeah, this was around the same time, probably like a couple months before I moved. Okay. And I didn't think anything about it. And then one day I was driving back from improv class. I was driving this girl, Liz, back from improv class. And we were driving through like projects in Long Island City. And I was driving through there and I saw a cop car driving towards me. And I was like, oh, and I tried to swerve out of the way to the right and it swerved with me. And I tried swerving out of the way to the left and it swerved with me again. And then like, I realized I was boxed in on all sides by cop cars and they came running at my car with like guns drawn.
Are you serious?
And I was, I was like, what the hell is happening? And I had not reported that my car was no longer stolen or that it was never stolen. I hadn't, lifted
withdrawn
back. Yeah. So they saw. So what the cop said is like, this is the racist thing that they said to me. They said, yeah, we saw your a license plate on a black SUV going through the project. And we're like, well, we should run that. And we came up stolen and we came after you. And then we saw you and the girl in the car and we're like, oh, this is probably a misunderstanding or something because I'm white and they're racist. I don't know.
Right. No, that's probably not too far from what was going on.
Or racially profiling, or whatever.
But they still came at you with guns drawn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that's so scary.
It was scary.
How did Liz like
I remember it.
Did Liz ever ask for a ride home from you again?
No, weird thing.
They just keep talking and they don't stop talking.
We're not going to really talk about the Chocolate Gandalf thing, even though that's really interesting. I've never asked him about it, or I have and I forgot about it. But you guys will remain in the dark with me.
I've been big into bagels lately. It's sort of the New York. But I've realized the bagel thing has almost become like a chance for me to go be social briefly.
That's something I still consider a very much New York Philly thing that hasn't changed. And I love that it's like, I feel like I got to have bagels when I'm in New York.
Yeah. It does feel very New York. Like when I'm in LA, it's sad to go looking for bagels.
Oh man, I'm in Lubbock, Texas. So it's not happening.
How long you been in Lubbock?
I brought my life partner, Susan, out here December of 2013. Yeah, actually on our anniversary, we drove out here, U-Haul and all of that, the pets and blah, blah, blah. And I moved her out here, and I'd say we got here, I want to say, on our anniversary, 21st of December, first day of winter.
Ooh.
Summer.
Winter solstice, yeah.
I moved her out here on the 21st, did everything to get her set in. And then the day after Christmas, I had to fly out, head to American Stage to start rehearsing radio golf. in St. Pete, which is just one of those pivotal shows for me. There's, I think there's about 4 to 5 extremely pivotal stage shows in my entire career that there was a huge shift, and that's one of them.
What do you mean by shift?
And me as an artist or a professional or both, I worked with the legendary, may he rest in peace, and became a close friend, Anthony Chisholm. So to work with him, there was a certain empowerment and things I began to embrace about myself. That was 2015. And between hanging with him, working with him, and conversations, it was just a huge gravitational shift in me showing up as a professional post working with Anthony Chisholm. He consistently empowered me, like I said, by just being in his company, and then he would verbally say things to me and gave me a whole nother level of confidence as a performer than I had before. And we were both honored to be nominated for that Tampa Bay Theater Award for that production. I'm still shocked that I won, because I thought he was like absolutely a whole nother event happening on stage. But whatever I accomplished was in part of being in his company and that rehearsal process. And I was actually going through a lot. Sometimes we have these moments where we're going through a lot, and we show up as, people don't understand that we show up like a construction worker shows up for work, and the world's falling apart, but you still have to pour the cement.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And that was, and again, it was also that going on. A lot of my life was just going, from health to relationship stuff. It was just a windstorm of problems, and you don't get to go pause. You don't get to tell that stuff. Hey, could you hold on? I got to. Yeah.
I could have gone deeper here, but I just said, yeah, because I understand that people do have traumas and they don't always need to be talked about. I mean, yeah.
I have to go to rehearsal. Can you just wait right here till I come and see if I can get some help to solve you? No, it just all keeps going. And you're in a rehearsal. And another thing I'm finding out, especially living in Lubbock, there's a certain perception of what professional actor is. They don't know, like, say, me being an equity performer, that when I go, and we, like, for 3 weeks, we're in rehearsal like they would be at a 9-to-5 job. We're like, from 10 in the morning to 6 or whatever the block of time is, if it's 2 to 10 or whatever, that daily, 6 days a week, we're in there grinding. And what's already considered a too short amount of time to achieve what we're trying to achieve, especially if it's a top tier playwright. So we're already swimming upstream. And then things happen. I was fortunate to be cast in the American stage version of Radio Golf with Mark Clayton Southers, another brilliant director. American stage got Mark, and by Mark, there was rumor. We all at the time thought, hey, no way this is going to happen. What the fuck, are you kidding me? That he was going to pull in Anthony Chisholm because he knew him really well. We were set to do Radio Golf, and I think like it was a week before rehearsal that I found out we have Anthony Chisholm, and I was like, "This is crazy." I'm about to do this show with a guy reprising the role that he was nominated for a Tony. Many felt he should have won. He's the least famous of a huge group of friends who were all came through Lloyd Richards, a Black director who helped shape a lot of the August Wilson plays. But that group is Delroy Lindo, Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson, Lawrence Fishburne, Angela Bassett, Courtney B. Vance. I don't think I'm leaving anybody out, but that entire group, they all kind of
came up together,
emerged together, and he's probably the least famous as far as film and television. You get into the stage world and people who really follow stage, and it kind of switches. He's kind of the icon amongst that group. And from the first day of rehearsal, man, and I feel like, again, I made an allusion earlier about construction workers and how you can't just stop the world about this particular process. This is one of those, I came in so unprepared, man. I just was not ready. Shit had gone crazy in my life. And
Right.
yeah, and then first day of rehearsal rolls around, you're like, I can't not show up. But I got to show up unprepared. I had barely flipped through the play. I just was all over the place.
I'm shocked. But this
you're
saying this is a changing point in your career anyway. But
dude,
this is not the first time you've.
No. Because that happens. No,
I mean, I'll vouch for it.
It happens. Sometimes it's just like, well, I got to go to work today and I'm not prepared. I'm just not prepared.
I have not done my homework.
Right. Exactly, man. None of it.
I understood the assignment and I just neglected it. Like,
anyway.
I like the sound of that. I think I'll use it as a transition.
Anyway, we're in the first, we do the read through and it's obvious to everyone. First of all, I'm the least experienced Wilsonian in the room at this point.
Wow.
You have, he has all Cadillacs in the cast. Kim Sullivan, who was just...
This is 2015 or 2013?
2015. Okay. Kim Sullivan, who was just the understudy for Samuel L. Jackson in Piano Lesson on Broadway. We had him. We had Alan Beaumont Jones, who just dominated the Midwest during Wilsonian. We had Kristen Detweiler, who also knew August well and originated roles. She originated roles that aren't even in the scripts anymore of August Wilson. Chiz and me, I'm just walking in wide and like, oh God. And we're going through. This is definitely the production you want to walk in unprepared for. Like,
right, exactly, man. I got this.
yeah, right.
Don't worry about me, old pros. Like,
right. Yeah, like a quarterback going, so is this the center? This is the guy. He snaps the ball, I think, right?
He's the guy we spent all our money on. Okay.
Yeah, right. Why is it not round? I thought the ball was round. But anyway, we go through the read-through, as you do in a lot of first rehearsals. And it's obvious I'm just words are coming out of my mouth for no reason.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And we get to a certain point in the script. Sterling, the character I was playing, he tells this story about how people treated him because he was a different type of learner. They treated him like he was an idiot, and how he was he tells it as if he was so fast that people thought he was slow. And it took a teacher investing the time in him to understand his particular brilliance. And I tapped into that with my own history and dyslexia. And we were having a conversation after the read-through, and I started talking about it. And I got really, sometimes I surprise myself. And this was one of those moments that I got extremely emotional about it while I was talking about it in rehearsal. And I was just about to pull back when Chiz put his hand on my chest and said, no, don't go back.
Ooh.
And I said, yeah, but he's no, but don't go back. No back. He said, that motherfucker is in you. Let him live. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Why?
It's not something you process immediately. You're just kind of like, this is some deep 70s blaxploitation shit.
It is in you.
Yeah, right. That was the beginning of him mentoring me through that process. And I never forget our second preview. I kind of just began to marinate in the character, and it was I was coming off of stage after having a very emotional moment on stage, and he tapped me again. It's the only 2 times he did that. He tapped me on the chest and he said, "That's it, Ranney." He said, "Fuck him up and then fuck him." Again, I didn't process immediately. I just kind of nodded like, "Yeah, cheers. Thank you, sir."
They just keep talking.
And they don't stop talking.
And they don't stop talking.
Jason is an actor, a diva, a coach, a teacher. Jason does everything. Not physical labor, but everything.
So how long have you been back up north?
Since 2010.
And how long were you in Florida in between?
I was in Florida for about two and a half years, and then Greensboro, North Carolina for about 6 years.
What about you like Florida better than North Carolina?
Yeah, but I like the cost of living in North Carolina. It definitely was. I probably never should have left North Carolina. I probably never should have left there. Or if we left, we should have moved to Florida when we left. But there's always like the idea as an actor, as a performer, that living in New York is where good things are going to happen. And you're always one good day away from changing your life, right? One good commercial audition, one good film on, like you're always one good day away. So like the optimist in me moved us to New York with no jobs and just stupidity on our minds. I don't know. When I was living in Astoria and had a bunch of parking tickets and said, this is it, I'm leaving New York, I had two opportunities. One was Davian Rhapsody offered me a couch in LA, and the other was Dan offered me a room in his home in Seminole Heights in Tampa. So I chose Tampa.
That's why you went back to Florida. You were running away from tickets.
Yeah, parking tickets. I had a lot of parking tickets. I'm not really good at dealing with like my problems.
Well, who is? Have you gotten better with it? Or
No, I have not gotten better at it. I've gotten worse, and the stakes have become higher.
Okay.
Now I'm like, that wasn't very much money in parking tickets. But I don't think it was as much like trying to run away from the debt as much as it was trying to run away from the idea of like, I don't know how I can live here without like, continuing to get like parking tickets, continuing to, spend money that I don't have. Like, it just seemed like hopeless, like living in New York. It just really was rough. And moving to Florida wound up being a smart thing for me. Within like a week or two, I got a job down at Florida Studio Theater doing a high school tour, and that's where I met my wife.
Oh, yeah. That was the right move.
There you go, universe. Thanks. They never introduced the show.
I want to say I did get to see The Fences. I'm so glad I got to see it.
Me too, man.
There was no question about whether it was ready.
There were reasons to be concerned.
We ended up as a unit having a week and a half together, which is unheard of.
A lot of theater, it seems like it takes a little second to swallow the premise. Actors are these characters, but I felt like you guys came in so strong and it was just so easy. Your relationship with the buddy, the friend, it felt so natural. It felt like, again, like you say, going to construction workers, these guys are bus drivers or garbage men.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that work ethic feeling to it, but you came in like that, like you guys had a camaraderie, and then all the relationships were so clear. You were amazing. I don't try to blow smoke up anyone's ass, but I just really...
Listen, Ranney doesn't need me to blow smoke up his ass or anything like that. They actually just recently won the 2023 Berkshire Theater Critic Awards for Best Production. They tied with another production, East of Berlin. Congratulations to Christopher V. Edwards, the director, Ella Joyce, Ranney, Brian D. Coates, L. James, Jack Wan, Malik Jones, Ashley McCauley Moore, and Kenneth Ransom. Amazing job. I'm really glad I got to see the show. Again, can't say enough great things about it.
I wanted to just go back. So thank you for getting me a ticket. And
man.
Thanks to the officer who pulled me over right as I was coming into town for not giving me a ticket and only giving me a warning.
Anyway, I can put this in terms of being a sports fan. There are certain guys that I watch and I recognize this guy understands that it's more about being decisive and being precise in any given moment. And that's why he's succeeding more than the other guys. And Anthony Chisholm daily shepherded me, for lack of a better phrase, in the application of that as an actor. He daily showed me how to be more shrewd and specific, how to make a decision and go with it, but be specific in your application of that decision. And in a way that I realized how much I wasn't doing that before I worked with him.
Oh, wow.
And it has a huge impact on the miracle we just pulled off. I don't think I could have done that before I met Anthony Chisholm. And part of me being able to achieve Troy, even though I played him before, but seriously in such a compressed amount of time, was to quickly go, okay, to go home and do my homework and go, okay, this is that. Ella Joyce, who played Rose,
amazing.
When we sat down, she so beautifully and graciously told me that the scene when, it's a famous scene, when Corey, played brilliantly by the young Jaquan Malik Jones, asked me, do I like it? And he said, how come you never liked me? And it's a famous...
So painful, yeah.
It is. And she told me and she's done this show several times, and she saw the original on Broadway, and she gave me insight to what she thought was special about the choices I was making, that she'd seen it in the past as such a harsh scene, and that she still thought it was harsh, but I brought so much love to it. When I worked with Chiz, he constantly showed me where, actors have a habit of making choices based on what they're trying to say, as opposed to what the character needs to say. As far as Troy Maxson is concerned, he's a loving father who's taking care of his family.
Yeah, he's doing his best.
When he would ask me that question, I tried to respond from the point of view of, this is a teaching moment to my son who I love and I want to protect in this crazy world. It wasn't just, I'm going to shatter your dreams and be a mean person, which I think sometimes people get out of that scene, because it's a father bringing the hammer down on a son generations ago.
Because he says, like, I'm not going to, it's not my job to love you, right? So sort of the line, to like you. Oh, he says, why didn't you ever like me?
Why didn't you ever like me? And I'm glad you made that mistake, because I feel like everything Troy is saying to him is that, dude, but I love you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I got to keep you alive.
And teach you how to keep you alive.
Yeah.
In the 1957 Black community in America, it's like there's a whole different set of rules for Troy Maxson at that time than the general public. And so the contemporary public really is a couple of layers removed from understanding. And I think the biggest mistake you can make is to play the role in a way that you try to make them understand. You can't. You do better to keep those layers away so they, with their own reasoning and own time, go, well, yeah, that was 1957.
And I think that's how it ends, too.
It's so cool to watch you raise a child. Having known you in college and then watch you sort of like just still manage to be you. Like, I feel like some people lose themselves into the parenting world, and not that you're not a good parent, I would never say that, but you have sort of, I think our friendship has maintained a state where, like, sometimes it's like, Jason has a daughter, but he's still Jason, still like hustling, still doing the things that make you happy.
There's a lot more with responsibilities, also doing the things that don't make you happy at times. And that's the big challenge, I think, that, like, are those the only things that you're doing, right? So if you're doing the things that don't make you happy, is it you do that and then, like, you sleep until the next thing that you don't do, that you do the next thing you do that doesn't make you happy? Or do you find, like, when are those opportunities to say yes to the things that you really love, the things that you really enjoy, so that your life isn't just those things that are arduous?
Yeah. I wonder if, like, having more of that arduous stuff has that prompted you to fight for the things that give you joy more? Have you figured out, have you found yourself in a position of being like, I really need to make this happen? Or is it just
arduous? I think it's a work in progress, man. Like, I think, sometimes it does, and sometimes it really doesn't. Sometimes I find it crippling to do things that I don't enjoy. Like, pretty much all of the different types of assessment tests I've taken tell me that, like, I am not good with doing things that cause me displeasure. Like, and, like, to a very large degree. Like a lot of people are, they can handle it. Like, just clock in a job, do that work, then you come home and do things. Not me. Like every moment that I'm doing something that causes me displeasure, I feel like I'm dying inside.
Oh my God. I hope you're not dying now. Are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like talking. I mean, the two things that I really love doing is like communicating with people. I'm passionate about communicating and performing. Like that's it. That's who I am.
So what do you want to talk about, man?
Whatever. I'm good. I'm nailing this hosting gig. Maybe I'm just being bitter, but here's a good time to put in this fact that Ranney has his own separate relationship with two of my siblings. So at any moment, he could just be having a conversation with them, and I would know nothing about it. It would not be under my gaze.
I wanted to make that clear that he daily tuned me up for the best way I can say it, as far as getting me accustomed to making those decisions.
So was it just like laying hands on the beginning and then laying hands on there's more stuff.
Yeah, no, it was just, during breaks, something else that was great about him that I take pride in as being as an older performer too, is he didn't intrude unless you ask. And I'm very much that way. I just don't do it. You have to almost yank it out of me, my opinion about what's going on in the rehearsal process as far as my fellow actors. And Chiz was that way. So I would catch him and break them, and I would talk to him and ask him. And he would just take the time to show me, okay, when you made this decision, what were you feeling? And showing you that you have your own radar antenna and barometer that's telling you consistently what the choices should be. What we've learned to do by walking out in general society as creatives is to cover up and mute what's telling us what's right and wrong as a creative, because there's a different person and a different energy of Ranney or Alan who has to sit down, and if they're trying to be an executive at the Coca-Cola bottling company, there's a whole different person that has to be presented, and the choices we have to make, as opposed to a creative when you're actually trying to represent human life and all of its flaws.
I already forgot.
You have your own radar antenna and barometer that's telling you consistently what the choices should be.
I thought we should hear that one more time. He's talking about trusting your own instincts, and that's such a hard thing to do sometimes. I love that Ranney talks about this like sort of backwards way we're taught to exist in society. I'm trying to build something that's a little different and fun and beautiful and a little weird. We can use that word, right? It's not owned by somebody. That would be weird. I used to make mixtapes of different groups. I think the classic scenarios, you make a mixtape for a girlfriend, mixes that, I think road trips or just driving to school or whatever. So you put in the car, put the little tape, your car would eat it, hopefully spit it out whole eventually. But first, let's play the mix. Having these conversations and then showing you parts that I really like to share some truth or some beautiful moment, putting that together with another piece of truth and seeing how these truths start to tell a story. And I think that's...
Yeah, and I think that's how it ends too.
Not so fast, Jason. That story has not fully revealed itself to me yet. And if you like mysteries, folks, figuring out what this podcast is like a sculpture, like wood, whittling it down. But I keep thinking of like you knock a piece of rock and suddenly this big piece falls off, and whatever's still there is what you're left with. And that's what you build upon. This is what this journey is for me, to see what this means to edit and to play with sound, words, quotes that people say, the things that stick in my head, and the things that I think it's like funny sometimes to play with the repetition, or to continue to reference this moment that just sort of like, boom, in this moment, they've said something to me that's just so astoundingly beautiful, and I just want to frame it.
I'm not really good at dealing with like my problem.
I think it's going to be a fun journey. I hope you come for the ride and that you like, share, and subscribe. Find me anywhere you find podcasts. I'll leave you with a little bit of comedians doing what comedians do.
They never introduced the show. Do you call it X? Or are you like going to call it like maintain Twitter? I usually call it Twitter.
Now I see it in articles. X, previously Twitter. It's just like, you have to explain it every time. It's like when Prince changed his name to a symbol. And they're like the artist formerly known as Prince is like after every time you write the symbol, you have to write that. But like when Prince did it, it was like cool, and now X is just like, oh, why isn't it just still Twitter?
The social media platform formerly known as Twitter. And I think that's how it ends too.
I mean, I grew up in Florida and the best we had was like Lender's frozen bagels.
Yeah, and
I used to love those things.
Yeah, they're good for what they are, but like their everything is nothing.
Now they're so sad.
This is your everything bagel? Okay, now let me see your something bagel. Yeah,
because you ain't got nothing.
Yeah, your everything bagel looks like a anyhow bagel. What it looks like.
The everything bagel, the Linder's everything bagel is like hope.
Right.
You can hope you have a better bagel next time.
Like they sprinkled it with pepper and allspice and threw it in the bag. Yeah, I know, man.
Allspice.
So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with in Lubbock. It's just like
they never introduced the show.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is your relationships with people in the business, people throughout the years, and how that's affected your career and stuff. Knocked it out of the park.